Hello, this is Storybooks channel. New videos are posted every day. Subscribe and click the bell.
Adam slowly came to his senses. He didn't understand why his whole body hurt. His back was stiff, and he wanted to turn on his side, but he couldn't. The pain was piercing his body. The man groaned and opened his eyes. "Brother, are you having a hard time?" Adam saw the face of a strange man in front of him. "Be patient, I'll call someone." "Where am I?" My lips were singed, my voice was hoarse and unheard. "You're in the hospital. Don't you remember anything?" That's when the doctor came into the room. "It's good to be awake." He felt the patient's pulse. "Look to your left now, to your right." He fixed the patch on his skin that held the IV tube in place. "Do you remember how it happened?" Vaguely, Adam admitted. "I remember we were on our way to a restaurant. It was my wife's birthday. I booked a table, and then I remember only a bright flash, a bang, and that's it. Where's Mary? How is she?" He looked anxiously at the doctor. "Your wife was less fortunate than you." "Can I see her?" "No, she's in intensive care. She's in serious condition. She's unconscious right now. But she's gonna be okay. It's too early to make any predictions." The doctor was evasive. "But the damage is severe. The spine is crushed. But she will recover. Her life is not threatened now, but to walk." He was silent for a moment. "We don't know yet. We're waiting for her to come to her senses for a thorough examination. Then we'll gather a concilium and give a conclusion." The doctor was silent, then put his hand on Adam's arm, squeezed it, and said sadly, "Be strong. Your wife may never walk again." Mary, the first person to wish the girl a happy birthday, was, of course, her closest friend Adam. He called early in the morning before work. "Happy birthday. I have a surprise for you, but I will tell you about it only in the evening." "That's not fair," Mary said cheerfully. "Now I'll be wondering all day what surprise you have in store for me. You've been giving me riddles on my birthday since childhood. I don't know what to expect from you. Tell me now." "No, I'm waiting for you at our favorite restaurant at 6 o'clock. I'll ask you not to be late." "And that depends," Mary declared. "I have to be the most beautiful tonight. I took a special day off work to get ready." "Try not to be late. I'll be waiting." The girl patiently watched the manicurist and from time to time looked at her watch. Leaving the beauty salon, Mary hurried home. She chose the prettiest dress she could find in her closet. She smiled mischievously at her reflection in the mirror, corrected her lipstick on her lips, called a cab, and in half an hour she was entering the restaurant. Adam could not believe his eyes when he recognized his friend Mary in a searing brunette, in a luxurious dark blue dress which suited her surprisingly well. Her wavy hair lay loosely on her shoulders. In her hands, a little embarrassed, the beauty clutched a small purse in the tone of the dress. He got up, helped to sit down at the table, and could not take his eyes off the girl, waved to someone. Immediately the waiter appeared with a huge bouquet of scarlet roses. "Happy birthday." Adam handed them to the girl. "There are 25 of them, but even these divine creatures pale before you." "Mary," she said in a voice hoarse with excitement, "you look great. Why do you always wear shapeless clothes? You'd have a lot of suitors. That's why I'm hiding under the clothes." Mary's brown eyes sparkled. "I don't need a crowd of brainless suitors. It's so cozy here." Looking around, she said. They were sitting at a table that was far away from prying eyes. It was just him, her, and live music. The musicians were playing some jazz composition. The soft velvet voice of a saxophone sounded. "Thank you for inviting me here. Did you order everything?" "Yes, I thought I'd surprise you." After all, today is your first anniversary. It's a quarter of a century." Adam smiled. "Don't remind me of my age." The girl was offended. "It is indecent. I seem to myself an old woman." "Don't talk nonsense. You're younger than me." "Remember, I always defended you in the orphanage. Considered a little sister?" "Of course I remember." There's a shadow on Mary's face. "As long as I can remember, you've always been there for me. Not since you were transferred to us." The waiter put the bouquet in a vase and poured champagne into glasses. "I propose to drink to you." Adam raised his glass. "I think that if I didn't have you in my life, I would have died a long time ago. You are my best friend." Mary said, taking a sip of wine. "Just a friend." The young man looked at her over the glass, then put it on the table, took out a small box from his jacket pocket, opened it, and Mary saw a gold ring on a velvet cushion. "I haven't been your friend for a long time." The girl looked at him fearfully. "At some point I realized I didn't want to be one." "I love you." "I've been meaning to say it for a long time, but I was afraid you'd laugh at me. Today I thought it was time to tell you. I don't know how you'll feel about it, but I can't keep quiet anymore. I want you to know how I really feel about you. We are not little children anymore. I have not perceived you as a sister for a long time, but you are closer than the closest relatives that neither you nor I have ever had. If I mean anything in your life, I'll be the happiest man in the world. If you tell me to leave, I'll leave, and I'll never hurt your feelings again. You know I'd do anything for you, even silence my heart. I'll do it if I have to give way to another." There was an awkward silence. Mary stared mesmerized at the ring, then raised her head, met Adam's eyes. He was waiting tensely. "We've known each other for 1,000 years. I know all your habits. I know your secrets. I get it." The boy lowered his head. "For you I was and will remain forever only a friend." "Fool," Mary said affectionately, and she put her hand on his, tears of joy glistening in her eyes. "I was afraid to confess that I love you not with sisterly love. Every day it became more and more difficult to hide my feelings. You seemed so uncriminal, cold, and indifferent, and I enjoyed your every touch. While you could not see, I was looking at every wrinkle on your face. I thought you would hate me if I confessed my feelings. How stupid are we both?" Adam put the ring on the girl's finger. "I thought the same thing. But you never showed me the signs of attention that a girl usually shows when she loves. I was afraid that you would avoid me, and then I would lose the opportunity of seeing you even from afar. Will you marry me?" "Yes, I'll marry you. And we'll have the family we never had." "To family." Adam raised his glass, drank a little. "I think we should have the wedding here. Do you mind?" "No, I'm relying on you for everything. This is our favorite restaurant. Do you remember our first event here?" "I remember when we started our own firm. And then we came here every time we wanted to be alone and talk about nothing. We'll make arrangements with the owner of the restaurant, so we should start getting ready. First of all, order an invitation." "I'm very happy, Adam," Mary said softly. "And I am, because from today we will start a new life," answered the young man. "I have you and you have me. We have always had each other." That evening, walking his beloved home, Adam did not go to her. "Shall we wait until the wedding?" Smiling, he said in response to Mary's silent question, "I would really like to spend tonight with you." "Let's not be in a hurry." Mary was grateful for that. She didn't want to ruin the magic of the evening. In the morning, Adam picked up the girl and they went to work together. Mary admired her chosen one all the way. She couldn't take her eyes off his curly red hair. She enjoyed looking at his masculine profile. She knew that when he smiled, his cheeks would show touching dimples. You're about to drill a hole in me with your gaze." Adam laughed, gently looking at his bride. "You're distracting me from the road. I can't drive in peace. I like looking at you." Mary confessed, embarrassed. "I really want to be your wife soon, and I'm your husband." The office buzzed like a beehive when the young people announced their decision to marry. They were no longer afraid to openly confess their feelings. "I knew there was something going on between you two." A coworker remarked, "It would be strange not to notice if Mary stopped even breathing when Adam entered the office." Chuckled another, "You're making things up as you go along right now." Mary blushed. "There was nothing of the sort. It was you who didn't notice how you were eating each other with your eyes, and it was very clear to us from the outside." Adam's friend joined the conversation. The wedding was fun. The few guests had fun from the heart. The bride and groom had no relatives, only friends and coworkers. "Guys, you are so good. We are so happy for you." Guests came up to the newly married husband and wife, all very well organized. "Cheerfully dancing to the music," said others. "Toastmaster at you, just fire," declared the third. At the end of the evening, tired but satisfied guests began to go home. "And where will you go on a wedding trip?" someone asked. "We decided to postpone it until next year." Adam said, "Yes, and the place has not been determined. While we think about everything, save up money and go on vacation to the fullest." After seeing off the last guests who didn't want to say goodbye to the newlyweds, Mary asked in a cab, "Where shall we go, to your place or mine?" "I have a more interesting place." The young man answered mysteriously. The car stopped in front of the hotel. The young husband led his wife to the honeymoon suite. "Adam," Mary gasped, "how romantic! And candles and flowers, how beautiful! When did you have time to prepare everything?" "I wanted our first wedding night to be remembered forever." He answered simply, "We'll tell our children how good we were together." They fell asleep only in the morning, hugging each other tightly. From that day on, their quiet, happy married life began. "Adam," Mary marveled, "you and I don't even have anything to quarrel about. If you don't listen to people you know, they only have time to throw frying pans at each other or to divide their possessions. We have nothing to divide." "Reasonably," answered the man, "you and I have known each other since childhood, and they. There is your first friend. Before the wedding with her husband, only 3 months were acquainted. Is it possible for such a short period of time to really know who is who? And who's worth what? By the time they get to know each other, they'll be divorced. That's why." Kissing her husband, the young woman said, "That I can't live without you. I have the feeling that we have one on two lungs. Listen to my heart." Mary pressed Adam's palm to her breast. "Can you hear it beating in unison? You and I are two halves of the same heart. Don't make it up." Adam grinned, but in his heart he thought the same thing. "I wish we could have a baby." Mary was sadly silent. "But I can't do it. And what if I can never give you an hair?" She raised her head anxiously. "It happens in life. Do not think about it." Kissing his wife, consoled the man. "We will have everything, and if we cannot get their own, we can always take from the orphanage. We know what it's like to live without parents, right? There's still time. We can take it slow for a couple years. While business is booming, maybe it's for the best, don't you think? I just wish we could have a baby as soon as possible," she sighed. Secretly from her husband, Mary was examined at the clinic. "Woman," the doctor reassured her, "there's nothing wrong with you. Apparently, your body isn't ready for a baby yet. Let it go. Enjoy your marriage. Don't obsess about the baby. You just have to wait. All in good time." But Mary couldn't bear the thought of not being a mom. It became her obsession. Every month she hoped that the first signs of the long-awaited pregnancy would appear, but every time she was disappointed. Adam. She urged her husband, "You should get a checkup too." "I'll tell you what." The man couldn't take it anymore. "Let's go on vacation. You're just tired. We never got to go on our honeymoon." "Why don't we take at least a week off and get away from the city? We've never been to the seaside together. Can you imagine how nice it would be to watch the sunrise and sunset by the sea?" Mary. Her husband took her in his arms. "I want to see how you splash in the waves, how your body gradually becomes bronze from the tan, and kiss your salty from the seawater lips. Put me on my feet." Laughed the happy wife. "I want to kiss you under the splash of sea waves and forget about projects, contracts, and competitors for a week. I love you." They went away from the bustle of the city. Their bungalow was not far from the sea. In the evenings, they sat on the beach and listened to the waves whispering as they saw off the day. Here, time seemed to stop. They enjoyed each other, forgetting everything in the world. "Why the week flew by so quickly, how I don't want to go back," Mary said regretfully as she packed her things. "I would have stayed here forever. And soon you'd get bored with me, and you'd leave me for some tanned macho who walks the beach in droves." Adam picked up on that. "No way," objected the woman. "I'd never leave you. Your red curls have turned copper here. They'll remind me of the bright southern sun. Is it possible to apply them to something more romantic?" Returning home, the young ones plunged headlong into their work. The woman listened to herself with a sinking heart, waiting for some changes in the body, but nothing happened. She was ready to resign herself to the idea that she would never get pregnant. "Kelly," she complained to her friend, "I was so hopeful that I could get pregnant there, and then I failed again. How frustrating!" Adam doesn't say it out loud, but I can feel that he's expecting me to have an hair. "Don't make it up," carelessly said the woman. "Adam, you're on the contrary, I think, is not very eager to become a father. He just started to raise the business. You've moved this thing together. If you fall out of the ranks, it will be very hard for him alone. Don't be sad, my friend. All things work out for the best. It's been a year." Mary's next birthday was to be celebrated at their favorite restaurant. Dressed up, beautiful, went to the celebration where they were already waiting for guests. "I can't even believe that in 2 days we are going on vacation." "I was glad, Mary. You're finally getting your mind off your work. Good for you for persuading me to buy the vouchers, or I wouldn't have dared to drop everything and go away. A year from now, we'll be on our honeymoon." "What the hell?" Adam suddenly cried out, blinded by a bright flash of light. A second, and from the terrible impact, the car shuddered. The last thing the man remembered was Mary's cry of pain. Then darkness fell. Adam woke up. His head ached, his body was stiff, and the smell of medicine hit his nose. He tried to turn onto his other side, groaned, and opened his eyes. An unfamiliar man, about 45 years old with a plastered leg, looked at him sympathetically. "Brother, are you having a hard time?" "Be patient, I'll call someone." He carefully slid off the bed, grabbed his crutches, jumped to the exit. "Where am I?" Adam could barely get his lumpy lips apart. "In the hospital. Don't you remember anything?" "I do. I don't remember how I got here." "Nurse," shouted the man, opening the door to the corridor. "Call the doctor. The neighbors awake?" "Good thing you're awake," cheerfully said the doctor, vigorously entering the room. "Okay." Feeling his wrist, he stretched out. "Pulse is normal. Look at me. Do you remember your name?" "What happened before you passed out?" "Yeah, I remember everything. My wife and I were on our way to a restaurant for her birthday, and then there was a flash, a bump, and then I don't remember anything else. Where's my wife? You were in a car accident. The doctor said gloomily. You were lucky, but your wife was. Is she alive? Adam asked with horror, lurching forward and grabbing the man's arm. She's alive, in intensive care. She took the brunt of it. The prognosis is not good. However, we'll wait until she regains consciousness. Right now, she's unconscious. Then we'll decide what to do next. Doctor. The patient begged in a belittling tone. I want to see her. No. He waved his hands and stood up. They won't let you into the intensive care unit, and you've just come to your senses. Tell me, who can I tell that you're in the hospital? We don't have anyone. Adam answered, I'm her closest relative. We are together from the orphanage. There is no one closer. All right, have it your way, nodded the doctor. I'll tell the nurses to take her to her. A few minutes later, the door to the room opened and two young, laughing nurses wheeled in a wheelchair. Are you the one who needs to be escorted to the intensive care unit? Asked one of the girls. Yes, Adam said. The girls helped him into the chair and, laughing and talking about something among themselves, rolled the man through the corridors of the hospital. Adam waited with bated breath to meet his beloved. He thought he was ready for any surprise, but still he could not control his emotions when he saw Mary, pale, wrapped in tubes on the hospital bed. My darling, whispered the man, snuggled into her hand, kissed her. Tears came to his eyes. The girls looked at each other and left the room, leaving him alone with his wife. Don't leave me, don't leave me. I can't live without you. I'll do anything, you just live. I beg you. Adam, muffled sobbing. He stroked her head, wrapped in bandages, held her hand and whispered, I love you so much, you wouldn't dare leave me. Lord, make my wife come to her senses. He begged, we have only found happiness together, don't take her away from me. Take my life, but don't let her die. The serene husband suddenly felt Mary squeeze his hand, weakly, but squeezing Mary. He stirred, looking hopefully into her face. Look at me. I knew you wouldn't give up. Hey, somebody. He shouted, swinging the ward doors open into the hallway. My wife's awake. Immediately, the doctor and nurses came running in. Adam was forced out of the room. He tried to object, but no one listened to him. Back in his room, Adam turned his back to the wall and fell asleep. His neighbor tried to talk to him, but the man was silent, so he made no further attempts to find out anything about Mary. Tell me, how's my wife? He asked his doctor that evening. I can't say anything yet. He was evasive. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on her. She's in serious condition. We'll gather a concilium, and then we'll tell you everything. You can start walking tomorrow, but don't work too hard, so it doesn't get worse. Your wife will really need your support. A couple of days later, we learned that Mary had a serious spinal injury. She would need several operations before there was any hope of her being able to walk. Adam sat in his room for a long time, hesitant to go to his wife. He didn't know what to say to her, how to comfort her. But he realized that a difficult conversation could not be avoided. Finally, he resolutely got up and went to the next ward. Hi. Entering the ward, the man spoke. Mary did not even turn her head at the voice of her husband. Adam saw that she was crying. Hey, what are you doing? He leaned over to her and kissed her cheek, then took a chair and sat down next to her bed. What's wrong? What happened? Turning her tear-drenched face toward her husband, shouted Mary, Are you kidding me? I'll never be able to walk again. And you ask me what happened? My life is over. Turning away from Adam, Mary cried quietly. But nothing is clear yet. Tried to set his wife on a good wave man. They haven't had a consultation yet. They're waiting for a neurosurgeon, and in the end, he took her hand and gently stroked it. The technology is so advanced now, they'll put anyone back on their feet. Why are you reassuring me? No technology can make my body move. If my basic motor functions are destroyed, I'm a cripple. It's time to face that fact. I'm bedridden for life. Listen, she grabbed her husband's hands and spoke, hurriedly, swallowing her words. Leave me alone, leave me alone. Why do you need me like this? I'm no longer a human being. I can't bear you children. I can't look after the house. I can't do anything anymore. Don't you realize I'm gone? I'm dead. I'm half human. Doesn't it frighten you to have to carry the ship after me? Listening to me moan in pain? You'll be at work all the time, and I'll have to stay inside 4 walls all the time. Why would you want me like that? She leaned back on the pillow and closed her eyes in exhaustion, equalizing her breathing. Go away, Mary said sharply. I don't want to see you. Did you say everything? Adam asked calmly. Now listen to me. If I were in your place, would you leave me? No. Mary opened her eyes. In them, the man read sincere indignation at such a question. No way in the world. I can't leave you either. Satisfied, he remarked, and that I will never hear such talk again. We'll fight together. We'll wait to see what the neurosurgeon says. Don't forget the examples when doctors were wrong and people got back on their feet against all odds. We can do this. I don't want to be a burden to you. I'm afraid to see the pity in your eyes. I want to die, do you understand? Stop your hysterics, he shouted at her, angry. His gray eyes blazed with anger. Pull yourself together. If we're alive, it's the right thing to do. I believe in you. Even if there's 1 chance in 100 that you'll get back on your feet, we'll fight. We've got money. We'll get any doctor we want, even from abroad. I won't let you give up. I'll go to my room. I'll be discharged soon, and you get ready to fight. Adam left the room, leaving his wife at a loss. He realized that he could not convince her to the end, but he had no right to retreat. The conversation was hard for him. He had almost no strength left. He sat down on a bench in the room to catch his breath. He was afraid even to admit to himself that he was not completely sure of what he had said to his wife, but he could not do otherwise. The next day, he was invited to the residence room, where all the doctors were gathered to make a definitive diagnosis and decide what to do with Mary. Adam, the neurosurgeon began, there's no consolation. Your wife is a paraplegic. Spinal cord injury, nerve damage in 6 places. She's gonna need a major surgery in more than 1. There's no guarantee of a positive outcome. There's a good chance Mary will never walk again. But is there any chance? The man asked slowly. Very slim. The doctor said regretfully. It would take a real miracle for her to walk. The rehabilitation process is very long and painful. I suggest patience and money. Retrofit your house to be wheelchair accessible and adjust, live with it. Right now, no one can give you a guarantee that the effort will not be in vain. Tears flowed from Adam's eyes. He hadn't even expected it himself. The last time he had cried was at the orphanage. Adam felt like a wounded animal cornered. I don't believe there's nothing that can be done about it. Stubbornly, he declared, wiping away his tears and embarrassed by the display of his own weakness. Mary is a real fighter. She can overcome anything. We could use that kind of confidence. The doctor grinned bitterly, looking at the man understandingly. Anyway, we'll try to do something. If it doesn't work, don't be sorry. We're human beings. not God's. Hire a professional nurse to help your wife. A week later, Mary had her first surgery. The results were not what the doctors had planned. The decision was made to do another one in 2 weeks, then another. Over the course of a year, Mary underwent 6 surgeries. "Well, Mary?" Examining the woman, the doctor said, "Positive dynamics on the face. We have returned sensitivity to the legs." He asked her to move her toes, helped her to bend and straighten her legs at the knees. "You can see you can move them a little bit." "But I still can't walk." Frustrated, she remarked, "Tell me, doctor?" With hope in her voice, Mary asked, "Will I be able to walk like before?" "I didn't want to tell you yet." The doctor hesitated, pretending to scrutinize her scans, but tried not to meet her eyes. "We're not talking about a full recovery yet." I emphasize, he hastened to reassure her, seeing how the woman's face changed. "Not yet." "But why?" Mary exclaimed in despair. "You said yourself there was progress, didn't you?" "You see," the doctor hesitated. "The latest scan showed that you have a tumor on your spine. We need more tests to find out whether it's operable or not, but we can't do another operation now. You're too weak to tolerate it. We have to wait." "No," the woman whispered, her lips trembling and tears streaming from her eyes. "Is this a judgment? I'll never walk again?" "No, don't say that." The doctor spoke hotly, but there was no certainty in his eyes. "We'll find out what the tumor is. You'll get a little stronger, and then I want to be alone." Mary closed her eyes with her hand, showing that she didn't want to talk anymore. The man sat silent for a few seconds, then stood up. The woman heard the chair legs creak sadly on the tiled floor. When the door closed behind the doctor, she pulled her cell phone out from under her pillow and called her husband. "Adam, I want you to take me home. I don't want to be here anymore." Then she called the nurse. "What's wrong?" The girl in the white coat asked worriedly. "It's wrong." The woman answered briefly. "Tell the doctor that I am refusing further treatment and going home to my husband. But the treatment has just begun." The nurse objected. "You can't interrupt the rehabilitation course, otherwise all your efforts will come to naught. Effort is useless to me, and I can go to rehab lying in my bed. I can no longer hear that medicine is powerless in my case. Leave me alone." The paperwork was done quickly. Mary thought the doctor sighed with relief when she announced her decision to go home. Adam was waiting for her by the car, leaned over, awkwardly, gave her a hug and a kiss. Mary did not respond to the tenderness, watching indifferently. Her husband seated her first in the passenger compartment, then put the stroller in the trunk. "Why is the mood gloomy?" Adam tried to cheer her up. "I have a surprise for you." "I don't want any surprises." "Don't you understand? I have no chance of recovery." Angrily, she replied, "Of course you feel good." Mary thought irritably, "You're on your feet, and I can't even go to the bathroom." "Don't talk nonsense." The man cut her off. "There's a chance, even one, but there's a chance. Don't you dare give up. Where are we going?" Not listening to her husband, Mary asked, noticing that they were going in an unknown direction. "I said surprise," smiled enigmatically at her husband. "Why all the riddles? I want to go home. I want peace and quiet." "Everything will be. Be patient a little." "Reconciliatory," said Adam. "What is it?" The woman asked as her husband stopped the car at an unfamiliar house. They drove up to the gate, which began to open automatically. Mary looked at her husband in surprise, and the car entered the yard. The yard was large, with a lawn and a small garden. In the distance you could see a swimming pool, not far from it a gazebo. The house itself was 1 story, but big. She liked the garden. Her eyes lit up when she saw the rosemary. She adored flowers. Even on the windowsill in the apartment, she grew them. "This is our home," the man said proudly. "I decided that it would be more convenient for us to live in the house. Don't you mind? We'll walk in the garden in the evenings and drink tea." Adam deftly sat his wife in the armchair. She had never been full, and in the hospital she had lost even more weight, became weightless, like a fluff ball, and rolled to the entrance. The porch was accessed by a convenient ramp, and the door opened automatically when the man put the key to the lock. The hallway light came on at once, so there was no need to fumble in the dark for the light switch. There were no thresholds, so the stroller rolled easily into the living room. "Look how cozy it is here. You can move freely through the rooms. I asked to remove all obstacles, and the kitchen? Every housewife's dream." He rolled the stroller into the kitchen. "No top drawers. You can reach everything by hand. You don't even have to get up. So you're sure I'm in this damn chair for the long haul?" Mary caught on to a phrase that sounded ambiguous. "Did you have everything ready so that I'd be comfortable in this damn chair for the rest of my life?" The woman began to beat her hands on the armrests, sobbing, tears streaming from her eyes. She waved them in her face. Mary confusedly looked at his wife's hysterics at him, not knowing what to do. "Calm down. I did everything to make you comfortable at first while you were recovering." He knelt in front of her and hugged her, trying to stop the shivers that made her whole body shudder. "It's going to be all right. Trust me. We'll find a domestic helper for you. Anything you can't do, she'll do. Look at our house. You like it. I saw your eyes light up when you saw the roses. I wanted to do something nice for you. I'm sorry." Mary finally spoke. "I should have thanked you for your concern, and instead I threw a tantrum." She stroked her husband's head. "Of course I like it here. It's cozy. You haven't seen everything yet." Adam looked at his wife. "Let me show you the rooms." He got up and rolled the stroller. "Look, we have 3 bedrooms." Opening one door after another, the man told her. "Here is the nursery, and this is the servant's room." He knocked. On the threshold appeared a nice-looking woman about 50 years old, not tall, brown eyes, carefully looked at the young woman. A mop of black hair with sparse gray hair was carefully arranged in an unpretentious hairstyle. Taut, dressed in an ironed uniform, she had an air of authority about her. "Meet Clara, our au pair Clara." Adam addressed the woman. "Dinner can be served." She nodded and hurried into the kitchen. "Why do I need an au pair?" Mary asked. "You're not yet strong after the hospital." The man explained patiently. "And I spend a lot of time at work. The house is big. It will be difficult for you to cope with cleaning. You'd think I could use an extra set of hands, wouldn't you? Let's go to the dining room. Clara is a great cook." Life went on as usual. Mary calmed down a bit and gradually adjusted to her new position. She became almost the same old Mary, except that she couldn't walk. Sometimes she got around with the help of skinny legs, but not much at all. Her legs got tired very quickly. "Mary," one day Clara suggested, with compassion, seeing how her mistress was suffering in the evenings from the pains in her legs. "Why don't I give you a massage?" "A massage?" The woman was surprised. "Do you know how to massage?" "A little." The assistant answered evasively. She could not admit that she had worked as a medic all her life. The boss forbade to mention it, but one of the conditions of employment was the ability to care for the disabled. "It's not a medical massage, it's a soothing massage that anyone can do." "All right, try it." Mary agreed. The pain did not let her sleep for a long time. She took pills, but they helped only for a while, and then the pain returned. "Lucky you and your husband." Massaging her feet, the woman said, "Everything in the house is so well thought out." "Yes, lucky." Mary confirmed, "Only he's working late." "Well, a house like this requires a lot of investment. I see you work too." "Yes, I can work from home now. It's very convenient. You should get some exercise for your legs. Why don't we try the walker tomorrow? I saw them in your room." "I'm afraid I can't do that." The young woman hesitated. "If you don't exercise your legs, your muscles will atrophy. Exercise wouldn't hurt either." "What am I doing with all this? I'll never walk." No one knows the full extent of their body's latent potential. If you don't exercise, you won't be able to stand on your feet. Mary listened to her assistant with interest. She spoke very persuasively, and the young mistress slowly began to move around the house on a walker. It was hard for her, but she did not allow herself to be lazy. Clara gave her a massage every evening, which really helped with the soreness. Sometimes they lingered over a cup of tea, waiting for Adam. Mary liked Clara. She was simple, kind, and very pleasant to talk to. That, of course, was none of my business. One day, an elderly woman cautiously asked, "But why don't your relatives visit you?" "We don't have any," Mary replied simply. "Adam and I grew up in an orphanage. We met when we were very young and never managed to part." The woman laughed. "We were glued to each other. And you don't know anything about your parents?" "No. My father left my middle name, and my mother left me when I was born." "And you never wanted to find her?" "I did, especially when I was 16. I wanted to find out why she left me, but then I changed my mind. What could I say to her when I met her? 'Hello, Mom, and you're the reason my whole life is screwed up.' That I'd hate her all my life. That I'd never forgive her for betraying me. That is despicable. To have a baby and then get rid of it. But there could have been reasons beyond her control. There could have been, but there weren't. She was just afraid of the responsibility, and she'd get what she deserved." And so, day by day, 6 months passed after Mary returned from the hospital to her new home. "Honey, I'm going to work." One morning, Adam looked into his wife's bedroom. They slept separately, the man's explanation being that he was afraid of hurting her at night with an awkward movement. In the evenings, when he returned from work, he came to her and put her to bed like a little girl, but he always went to his room to sleep. "Mary, what's the matter with you?" He noticed with alarm the dead pallor on his wife's face. She usually greeted him with a smile, but here she didn't even open her eyes. "Are you ill?" "My whole body hurts. I can't move." The woman struggled to speak, writhing in pain. "I'll call Clara, or better yet, I'll call your doctor." "You know what?" decisively declared the husband. "I'm going to call work, and I'm not going anywhere today. Bear with me for a while. I'll get some painkillers." A minute later, Clara came into the room. "Where's the discomfort?" Handing me a glass of water and a pill, she asked. "Everywhere. I can't move my arm or leg, and my eyes are blurry." "Nothing, the doctor will come and will explain everything." Adam called the doctor, and he didn't wait long. "It's probably just a temporary deterioration. I can't explain what's causing it. I'll prescribe some medication. We'll try it. If it doesn't work, call me and we'll find another one." Probably on his way out of the bedroom, the doctor told a dejected Adam, "It's related to the tumor. It will progress if not treated properly. There's no telling how it will end." There was no improvement. After a week, my legs stopped working, and after a while, my arms started to fail. "Mary, you must pull yourself together and at least eat," Clara urged her. "Why?" the woman asked. "I want to die. I'm lying here like a log. All I can do is eat. Even my husband won't come home from work. He has a lot of work to do. The au pair stood up for the owner. Do you believe what you're saying? He used to stay out late when I could still walk, and now he's got a lot of work to do. I suspect that job is a long-legged, blonde, model-looking woman. What are you talking about? Clara spoke reproachfully. Adam loves you. He would never trade you for anyone else. He's a man. He wants a healthy woman, not a cripple. I'd rather he left me than lie in bed like this wondering who he's spending his time with. Clara looked at the young mistress with pain. She understood that she had to fight, but she saw that Mary put her hands down and did not even try to do something. Don't get yourself worked up. Your husband will never betray you. Everyone betrays, and he is no exception. You can't give up. You're strong. The woman tried to reason with the landlady, but all attempts to talk to her were to no avail. One day, when Clara was returning from shopping, she took a cab to the house and saw a man in his 60s near the gate. He was trying to peek over the fence. The woman was wary. Who was this guy? Where did he come from here? And what is he sniffing around? Where are the guards? This is an upscale community and no strangers come here. How did he get in here? I'll complain to Adam today, so he can find out who let him in. What do you want here, man? Clara asked sternly. You'd better leave and not have to call security. I'm looking for Mary. I was told she lived here. I called, but no one answered because no one will answer the door but me. The woman spoke in a nonchalant tone as she turned the key in the lock. Are you from this house? The stranger rejoiced. Do you know where the landlady is? I really need to meet her, if you can help me. Yeah, I work with this family. Why do you want to see her? The woman asked. She looked suspiciously at the stranger from head to toe. He looked intelligent, not like a crook. At first glance, he can be trusted. At least you can listen to him. Anyway, he will not let go. I have a serious conversation with her. Unless you tell me what I want from my mistress, I won't let you in the house. Clara stood firmly in the way of the uninvited guest. I'm Mary's own father. You are. The woman exclaimed in amazement. Well then, come into the house. Will you have coffee? I'd love some. My name is William Mikhailovich. To whom do I have the honor to speak? I'm Clara, the au pair. Well, where have you been, father? Clara asked mockingly, setting the table. When your daughter was in the orphanage, when she was suffering and needed a family member. Why did you only show up now? Maybe you're trying to collect child support. It's fashionable now to put adult children on your neck. I understand your indignation. The uninvited guest spoke conciliatingly, stirring with a spoon in a cup of coffee. But I learned of her existence only 2 months ago. I rushed to look for her, but it wasn't easy. At the old, how did you know about Mary if you weren't interested in your ex-lover's life? I got a call from her sister saying that Evelyn wanted to meet. I was surprised because we hadn't spoken in years. I had no idea where she was. Who was she with? The sister sent the address, and I was shocked when I realized it was a hospice. I rushed there, and it turned out Evelyn had cancer, terminal. The man was silent. Clara could see that it was not easy for him to talk about it. Unfortunately, there was nothing I could do to help her. Do you still love her? No. William shook his head negatively. My heart was tired of waiting. I felt sorry for her. There was no trace of the searing brunette beauty I had once loved. The disease had done its terrible work. Evelyn had lost weight, there was no blood on her pale face, and her eyes were filled with resignation to her fate. She was glad when she saw me. William plunged into memories. The woman didn't dare interrupt. William, did you come after all? Evelyn whispered excitedly. Her eyes, dimmed by the realization of inevitability, flashed for a moment. "I was afraid you wouldn't make it. I don't have long to go. Evelyn, if I had known you were sick, I would have helped you." "Don't say anything," she stopped him. "This is my punishment for keeping our daughter from you." "What? What daughter?" "Mary. Her name is Mary. She's 26 years old. Where is she? And why are you here and not with her?" "I'm telling you, I'm being punished for what I did. I left her in an orphanage." "But why?" William cried out. "Why didn't you tell me you were having a baby? I was afraid you wouldn't believe me. I was unfaithful to you then. Chased after a successful and rich man, and when he found out I was pregnant, he didn't stick around for a minute. Where was I supposed to go? I was young and stupid. I didn't know how to love and appreciate what I had. Why didn't you look for me? I would have helped you. I wouldn't have left you alone. I went far away on purpose not to interfere with your happiness, but if I had known that you were expecting our child, I would have come even to the ends of the earth. I didn't even think about it, and I was ashamed." The woman closed her eyes. The conversation was taking a lot of energy. After a moment, she looked at William again and said, "It's too late to apologize. I wrote you the address of the orphanage where I left my daughter." She held out a quadruple-folded piece of paper. "She has my last name, but I gave her your middle name. Find our daughter, apologize for me. I am very guilty before you. I don't know how her life turned out. Tell her that I gave her to the orphanage not because I didn't love her, but because I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to put her on her feet on my own. I need her to know that. Promise me you'll find her?" Evelyn asked. "I will," nodded William. He took her thin hand in his and squeezed it. She responded weakly to the handshake. "Forgive me, I ruined everything only here. I realize that I have lost my true love, chasing after phantom happiness. I believe that wealth was what a man should strive for. And now I realize that money can corrupt the soul, but not save it. I believe that our daughter grew up a good man, like her father." A tear rolled down her cheek. "Now leave me alone. I'm tired." The woman closed her eyes. William sat a little longer, got up beside her, and went to the exit. He opened the door, but couldn't hold it open. He looked back one last time and glanced at the woman he had once loved madly. "Then I quietly closed the door behind me, so as not to disturb her. I immediately went in search of Mary." William continued, awakening from his memories. "And here I am, and I want to see her. I must tell her everything I promised her mother. She has a right to know that she is not alone in the world. I don't know if she'll want to see you, especially now." Clara hesitated. "I doubt she'll be happy to hear the news. It's not my fault. I didn't even know she existed. I'll explain everything. She'll understand." "She can't not understand," the man said with conviction. Then asked, "You emphasized, especially now. Is Mary in trouble?" "That's not the word. She and her husband had been in a car accident. Adam had already returned to work, and Mary had been bedridden for over a year and had recently taken a turn for the worse." Just as the woman uttered these words, a bell rang from the landlady's room. "I must go." Clara hurried out. "If you can help, come with me, but don't tell me who you really are. You're just a doctor for now, especially since we desperately need a doctor. Be patient. When the time is right, we'll tell her you're her father." Mary was breathing hard, pain frozen on her face. "Get me a doctor," the young woman asked. William entered Mary's room, followed by Clara. This was not how he had envisioned his first meeting with his daughter, but now the situation was such that there was no choice. He walked over to the bed and looked at his only child, who was melting before his eyes. His father's heart ached, but now he had to pull himself together and try to do something to help her. First, however, it was necessary to find out how irreversible the consequences of the accident were. Mary, leaving in Clara, "I'd like you to meet Dr. William. He's going to help you." "Who are you?" "I don't know you." Mary looked at the stranger, eyes clouded with pain. "Really a doctor?" "Yes, I'm going to help you now." He pressed some points on her arms and legs. Mary felt an electric shock. She cried out. The pain was unbearable, but the man's hands were warm, caressing. It seemed to her that from his touch, it was as if the pain had encountered some obstacle, and suddenly it began to recede. Her exhausted body still suffered, and the painful sensation dulled. "Do you feel better?" The young woman heard. "Yes," listening to herself, she answered. She still couldn't believe that the pain that had tormented her for so long had finally disappeared, leaving the heaviness in her body and on her forehead. "Are you a wizard?" Mary whispered gratefully, looking at the man. "No, I'm a doctor. I deal with difficult patients like you. Usually after my treatment, people get back on their feet. Not in my case. It was made clear to me that I was doomed. Not long ago I could move around a little, but now I'm bedridden. I want to die so I don't have to torture anyone. Even my husband shuns me, saying he's working, but he's probably already married another woman. Why would he want a cripple?" "Mary," Clara said reproachfully, "it's not true. Your husband loves you, and he stays late because he needs money for your rehabilitation abroad. He works for two. If there were 48 hours in a day, he would not have enough. Why do I need rehab? My arms and legs won't move. Soon I won't be able to eat. Then I won't be able to breathe. I have a tumor in my spine. I wish you'd put me out of my misery. I'm tired of the pain. It goes away for a while, gives me a break, and then it comes back. You don't know what agony this is? Ladies, William has stepped in. I'd like to see the doctor's report and the latest spinal scans." Clara handed him the weighty medical records. He scrutinized the doctor's notes in handwriting that was incomprehensible to the average eye and frowned. "I can help you." Finally, he said, "You will walk if you trust me and have patience. Listen to me very carefully. You need a good course of chiropractic massage, special exercises, some medication, and a carload of patience, and I promise you will walk. I know what I'm talking about, and I'm confident of a favorable outcome." "Are you mocking me now?" Mary asked irritably. "All the doctors say with one voice that I have no chance of recovery. And you come in all smart from the street and say the opposite? Why promise something you can never do? Why give me false hope again? I don't want and won't torture myself with courses of therapy. The outcome will be the same. You have just felt the power of acupressure. You are talking to me calmly, and a few minutes ago, you were nauseated with pain. Have you forgotten?" Ashamed of her words, the woman remained silent. "Would you like me to prove to you right now that the sensation in your legs is not completely lost?" William pressed the points on her feet again, and Mary thought for a moment that she could actually feel her toes. This can't be happening. The woman looked at the stranger with wide-open eyes and was afraid to believe the hope she had just had of returning to normal life. "What about the tumor? It's causing my arms and legs to shut down. I'm not sure of the diagnosis. I'll need more tests, but that's for later." "So are we going to get better?" "Yes, then promise to obey me in everything. Don't break the regimen, no matter how much you want to quit, and stick to the instructions." "I agree. How much will I owe you for the treatment?" "I don't think your services are cheap. It'll be free for you. I'm conducting an experiment on you. If everything works out, and we will, I can patent my method of restoring the hopelessly ill. That's worth a lot of money. Clara, Mary turned to her assistant. Don't say anything to your husband. When I'm back on my feet, I'll tell him myself. I want to surprise him. But we can't keep a strange man in the house from him for long, can we? Unsure, said the old woman. We will not hide anything. He works from dawn to dusk anyway. If you don't talk, Adam won't know anything until later. The arduous rehabilitation process began. William really turned out to be a doctor from God, and after 2 weeks through sweat and tears, Mary showed the first signs of improvement. Cheerful, she looked forward to every visit from the doctor. She idolized him and didn't complain, even if it was unbearable to endure the pain. The only thing that discouraged her was her husband's constant delays at work. Mary? Called Adam. On one of the dreary evenings, Mary had been alone lately. I'm going to have to spend the night at work. You'll have to excuse me. I'm on deadline. You must realize I'm a two-man job. I can't do it. I'll try to get off early tomorrow. Don't miss me. He said, You promised you wouldn't leave me alone, didn't you? But you're not alone. Clara is with you. Understand that success depends on the speed of the order. I can't just drop everything and rush home. You're not a little girl. You must understand. I'll earn a lot of money, and we'll go abroad to the best doctors. I want to see you healthy and smiling again. To make it so, you'll have to suffer some inconveniences. I won't waste any time, bye. I love you very much. The husband said in a cursive voice and hung up the phone. Mary cried half the night. With only one thought in her mind, he has another. Of course, how long can one put up with a cripple? He's young. He meets a woman. And what can I give him? I can't even give him a child. I can't do anything. How can I keep a man when I'm lying here like a log? I'm just talking. Mary, did you sleep badly last night? Asked William, noticing in the morning the unhealthy pallor of the face and reddened with tears the eyes of his patient. He could see that she was in no mood to study. Maybe we shouldn't have class today. We can't do anything without a treatment mindset. No, the woman said stubbornly. Let's not interrupt. Don't mind her. Tell me, did your husband upset you? How did you know? Mary looked at him suspiciously. It's obvious. The man shrugged his shoulders. You haven't slept much the night before. You don't smile. You have a dull look in your eyes. Can you tell me what's bothering you? Maybe I can help you? I am a man, after all. I can explain Adam's behavior from my point of view. I'm ashamed to say this, but I think Adam has another woman. What makes you think that? William was stunned. He's been spending a lot of time at work, and last night, he didn't come home for the night. It's never happened before. But he warned you. Yes, he phoned, said it was an emergency. I'm guessing that's just your guess. You don't have any proof. I haven't had a chance to meet your husband, since we keep our activities secret, but from what Clara tells me, he's a very nice man. You've known him a long time. Has he ever given you reason to doubt his feelings? No, he's always been there for me. That's what I'm saying. You don't just label a person right off the bat. You have to get to know the person first. Sometimes words spoken in the heat of the moment can ruin a life. I'm sure your husband will come back and explain everything, and you should trust him if you really love him. I do. Sadly, Mary grinned. Only he wants a healthy woman, not a cripple. No man can stand a sick woman for long. I can't do anything. I'm not even a woman. What are you talking about? The man was indignant. If I understand correctly, he earns money for you only because he believes in your recovery, and for his sake he is ready to work day and night. Don't question his genuine concern for you. Immediately throw away all silly thoughts and let's start practicing. He gave her a hand, and Mary got to her feet. I don't know why, but I believe you. She hugged William, and he froze, then gently embraced the woman, his hands trembling with excitement and his heart beating joyfully in his chest. Mary reached trustingly into the man's arms. Adam was in a hurry to get home. He didn't have much time to change quickly and get back to work. He might not have come. He always kept a spare set of underwear with him, but he missed his wife terribly. He wanted to see her, kiss her, and apologize again for not coming home for the night. It seemed to him that she was offended. He got out of the car, pulled out a huge bouquet of flowers. They were Mary's favorite, red roses. Wow! Clara turned pale when she saw the owner through the window. We must warn Mary, no matter how much trouble she was in. She hurried into the room where William was studying with his daughter. The woman was not ahead of Adam. "Mary, I missed you so much," the man said joyfully, swinging open the door to his wife's bedroom. "Look what I brought you." He suddenly stopped at half a word and stopped like a stumbling block. The bouquet fell out of his hands. William and Mary stood hugging each other in the middle of the room. "What's going on here?" The man shrieked. "Why are you hugging my wife?" He rushed toward the couple caught off guard, grabbed the doctor by the scruff of the neck, and tossed him aside. The man fell. Adam pounced on him, grabbed him by the throat, and began choking him. "Adam, don't you dare!" Mary shouted. "It's not what you think it is. Let him go at once." What was I supposed to think? Some man groping my wife in my house? Where did you two sniff each other? Answer me. Shaking the stranger by the breasts, the furious husband. "White coat, but you run on a date. Is not she too young for you? And I'm a fool, working from dawn to dusk. Maybe you're just pretending to be sick." He turned to his wife, not taking his eyes off his victim. "To avoid sleeping with your lawful husband? And you, Clara, covering for your mistress? By the way, I'm the one who pays you the money. Everyone knows my wife is cheating on me, but I'm a gullible idiot who never noticed. Once I didn't come home for the night. Another husband took her place. Adam, it's really an emergency room, doctor. If you let him go, I can explain everything. Please listen to me calmly." Adam left the man on the floor and got up, only to suddenly notice that Mary was standing unaided. You walk by yourself?" He marveled. "Well, walking is a big word for it. I'm taking my first steps. If you didn't hurt my doctor, I'll be on my feet soon." "I do not understand anything. How is it possible?" Breathing heavily, Adam asked, "William, Clara, leave us alone, please." Mary asked, "Have some tea. Calm down. We'll join you soon." When they were alone, the woman sank heavily onto the bed. "Sit down beside her." She ordered her husband. "William is a real doctor. He promised to help me." I didn't fully believe him, so I decided not to tell you. I wanted to make sure I could really get back to normal. But 6 months ago, the doctors clearly said you had no chance. There was one, I guess. Mary grinned. And that chance was given to me by William, and you almost killed him without realizing it. But I didn't know. Justified, ashamed, Adam. I mistook him for your lover. What am I supposed to think when I come home from work and you're standing there hugging a strange man? So you were jealous of me? Of course, I love you and I don't want to share you with anyone. I don't want to share you with anyone. Why have you been distant lately? I've been plagued by suspicions too, and I've been in a worse position. How could you be jealous of a cripple? I never thought of myself as a cripple. For me, you're the woman I love, alone and for life. You're the closest thing I've got. How could you think I'd cheat on you? Work takes up all my free time. I had to hurry to raise the money for your rehabilitation. Your doctor suggested going abroad. You don't have to go anywhere. There's a great doctor here. How did he miraculously show up at our house? I don't know, but he's my salvation. We should be grateful to him. I'm really ashamed that I jumped on him with my fists. Adam looked at his wife with embarrassment. I must apologize to him immediately. Yes, do me a favor. Mary smiled. He's a good man. I'd like to have a father like that. He's warm-hearted, considerate. Do you know how he defended you when I was ready to fight with you this morning? Why are we sitting here? The man has come to his senses. Let's go to the kitchen. I want to apologize. The young people hugged each other and left the room. Adam supported his wife. She, smiling, walked, limping, feeling the care of the beloved man beside her. Forgive me, jealous fool, Adam said, sitting Mary down at the table. My blood rushed when I saw Mary with you. He held out his hand to William. I didn't want us to meet under these circumstances. I hope I didn't give you too much trouble. It's all right, I understand. The man shook his hand in return. For such a woman, you can endure anything, and now for the main thing. The doctor grew serious. Mary should be practiced every day, then the result will be achieved. I have a suggestion. Suddenly Adam said, move into our house for the duration of the treatment. What do I think is a good idea? We have enough room for everyone. You don't have to go back and forth every day. You can do more with Mary. Go for it. Mary clapped her hands and kissed her husband. Honey, you're so good. It didn't even occur to me to ask the doctor to stay with us. I think I'll take it. Embarrassed, the man said, if it's not too much trouble for Clara to feed another mouth, what do I care? The old woman wailed. Where there are 3, there are 4. From that day on, Mary's rehabilitation went faster. Adam didn't have to stay at work so often, and the need for more money was no longer necessary. As soon as there was a free minute, he hurried home to his Mary. So 3 months passed. The woman began to make the first independent steps around the house. William rejoiced at her progress, saddened only by the fact that his services would soon not be needed, and he still could not admit to Mary who he really was. One morning Mary was not feeling well, again in pain. Should we postpone the class? William asked worriedly, seeing her daughter's condition. No, the woman replied stubbornly. Let's not interrupt. I'll rest later. She pushed away the man's hands that were supporting her and took a step. Her legs gave out. She tried to keep her balance, put her foot down awkwardly, and almost collapsed to the floor. Careful, my daughter, shrieked William, and at the last moment managed to pick up the precious burden. Immediately embarrassed, he bit his lip. What a fool I am, he thought. I couldn't find a more suitable occasion to tell everything. The man stood with his head down, not daring to look at Mary, fearing her reaction. Are you my father? Not believing her ears, the woman asked. Did I mishear you? You call me daughter? Yes, I am your father. If you ask me to leave now, I won't object. William said doomedly, I'll understand, because I haven't been there for you all these years. I can't imagine what you went through in the orphanage, thinking you were abandoned, but you weren't. How can that be? How did you find me? And why just now? I didn't know anything about you until recently, confessed the newly minted father. Your mother kept it from me that she'd given birth. How did you find out about me? Evelyn, your mother, found me and told me everything. It took me 2 months to find you. And Mom, where is she? Mary asked hesitantly. Why hasn't she come? Doesn't she want to see me? Unfortunately, Mom's gone. Just before she died, she revealed a secret she had kept all her life. It's a good thing she told me how to find you. Otherwise, we never would have met. But how did you know I needed a doctor? I didn't. I came to your house and Clara told me about your trouble. So I stayed by your side disguised as a rehabilitator. I'm a doctor, and I had the good fortune to get to know you. I could not get up the courage to confess that I am your father. All my life I dreamed of children, but it turned out that I was a lonely man, and except your mother, I could not love any other woman. I did not have a family. I thought I'd die alone, but now I'm so happy, my daughter. It's like I've grown wings. Why did Mom leave me? You know. After a little silence, the man said, I could blame her for everything alone, but I won't do it, especially now that she is no longer alive. It's just the way things are. But you should know that we loved each other sincerely. Mom would never have left you if she hadn't been afraid of hardship. She's a weak woman, and she was too young to realize the mistake she was making. There's a lot of things that can be explained. She asked me to tell you. She didn't put you in the orphanage because she didn't want you, but because she was afraid of failing. What was she like? Mary asked. Very beautiful. Father replied warmly. You look like her, and your hair, and the color of your eyes. I would have recognized you even in a crowd. She dreamed of being happy, but in her own way she understood it. The disease changed her. She saw things differently. Unfortunately, too late. What was it about her that made you loyal to her all your life? I loved her very much. The man answered simply, just the way she was. If she had written to me saying she wanted to be with me, I would have gladly stayed by her side forever. I wish Adam loved me like that. He loves you madly. Don't doubt it, daughter. William spoke gently. Can I call you that? Will you let me come to see you? If you refuse, I will accept whatever you decide. You have the right to send me away. All I need to know is that you're doing well. The recovery process is irreversible. Any hospital will finish the job. It's your decision, Dad. Mary opened her arms to him. I want you to stay with us. Thank you, my daughter. I feel like living again. The happy father embraced his daughter, squeezed her tightly in his arms. Tears came to his eyes. At that moment, Clara entered the room. It's time for dinner. From the doorstep, she said, and then she stopped. Clara, Mary turned at the sound of her voice. I'd like you to meet my dad. Well, thank goodness. I thought he'd never come clean. How? The young woman was surprised. You knew all this time and you never told me? Clara was embarrassed. I couldn't tell you because it wasn't my secret. I thought William should tell me himself. Now I see that everything is going well with you. Remember? She turned to the man. I told you Mary wouldn't send you away. I was right. Come quickly to the table. Dinner's getting cold. Adam can't wait to break the news, Mary said excitedly. But I'll wait until tonight, Clara. You owe me a celebratory dinner. Adam hurried home from work. He wanted to see his beloved, to ask about his progress. His wife's recovery was slow, but progress was evident, and the man was happy to see how every day the woman's mood changed. There was no trace left of the perpetually irritable, oppressed by illness. The old Mary whom he loved had returned. Good evening, he said cheerfully, entering the house. All three came out to meet him. What's the matter? Asked the man, seeing the shining faces. Adam, his wife waddled up to him, still on unsteady legs. And we have news for you. Meet William. She pointed to William. This is my father and your father-in-law. It doesn't get any easier. Adam was stunned. Why are you here so early? He sarcastically looked at his father. You should have waited another 25 years and then come. And I realized old age has come. I'm tired of being alone. Darling, Mary hugged him. He didn't know about me. Come on, I'll explain everything. Explain what? The husband's upset. Do you have proof that he's really the father? Or did you just take his word for it? Adam, his wife rebuked him. Why did you do that? He really didn't know anything. Why would he pretend to be my father? I believe him, especially since he helped me a lot. Don't forget, he's the reason I got back on my feet. Yeah, and now you're gonna pay him alimony for the rest of your life. You think he came out of the goodness of his heart? You're naive. Stop it. The woman cut him off. Daughter, William intervened. He has a right to say that because he cares for you. But I assure you, Adam, I want nothing from you except to know that I have you. You're the master of this house. You tell me to go, I'll go now. Mary, he turned to his daughter. I have my own house. You can come whenever you want. Daddy, you're not going anywhere. We'll all calm down now. Sit down at the table for dinner. Adam, you're tired after work, I understand. The news has knocked you out of your rut, but at least listen. Everyone sat down, began to eat. There was silence at the table. Mary was the first to speak. Do you remember, Adam, how we dreamed that our parents came and took us out of the orphanage? We were children. The man answered briefly. We wanted a family, grandmother, grandfather. Remember? We now have the opportunity to become a family, a big and friendly one. You'd be foolish to turn it down. I'm not. Adam muttered. I just want to make sure it's not a hoax. Mary's birth certificate. William said her mother's last name and my middle name. There. The woman looked at her husband triumphantly. He couldn't have known that for sure if he hadn't met my mother. So you have a mother. Where is she? No, Mary said sadly. My mother is gone. That's why we can't give up our father. See how well we're all sitting here together. Isn't this what we dreamed of? Adam, look at me. She made Adam turn around. You're my closest, dearest person, but I want Daddy to stay with us too. Okay, reluctantly Adam agreed. Stay if your wife wants you to. And we'll have to finish the treatment now that we've started, and then we'll see. Everyone laughed with relief. We should drink to the family reunion. Mary suggested it. Clara, could you get me a nice bottle of wine, please? So William stayed at his daughter's house, not only as a doctor, but also as a caring father. A year later, Mary was walking around the house with a stick. We need to do a follow-up exam. Concerned father reported. I, of course, think that there is no tumor on the spine. Otherwise, we would not have such results. But still we need to make sure of the truth of my words. Adam took his wife to the clinic where the surgery was performed. Mary, I can't believe my eyes. Her former doctor looked at her in amazement. You're on your feet. How is that possible? You didn't stand a chance. Thank you, doctor. The woman grinned. I'm happy for me, too. If you'd had me, I'd have been healed to death. I was lucky. Tell me, I want to know how you got back on your feet. I found a good doctor. There he is. Mary pointed to my father. He's the one who saved me. Then what do you want from us now? We want to see what kind of tumor you found on your spine. William spoke. The man didn't hesitate and led him into the diagnostic room. What are you doing, doctor? William said reproachfully, looking at the scans. Couldn't you tell the difference between a spinal hernia and a tumor? You almost sent a person to the grave. She wanted to kill herself. I admit it. The doctor rubbed the bridge of his nose in confusion. We made a serious mistake. You have every right to sue for compensation. We're not going to do that. Now we need to figure out how to restore mobility to your spine. Unfortunately, the herniated disc is advanced, and I can't fix it with chiropractic care. We'll have to do another surgery, and we can't do it without you. Only the surgery will be free. We have to correct a medical error. The surgery was a success. Mary finally got back on her feet. Surrounded by the care of her loved ones, she recovered quickly. It took another year before the doctors at the next examination gave the conclusion that she was healthy. "Are we having a holiday?" Surprised to look around the bedroom, Adam asked, when one day, coming from work, found his wife in the bedroom, decorated with garlands and candles. No, it's not funny at all. Don't interrupt me, please. I'm very worried. I'm not an old man anymore. No one knows how long I have left in my last godforsaken years. I'd like to spend them with you. I have fallen in love with you. You are so kind, gentle. You take good care of my daughter. Sincerely worried about her. Marry me. I didn't think I would hear such a thing in my old age. Clara smiled, but in my heart I waited because I loved you too. Clara. William rushed to her. Did he embrace her? Pressed his cheek against her cheek? His heart sank with overflowing emotion. Shall we tell the children now? Oh no! The woman was frightened and recoiled from him. Suddenly they will not accept me. God forbid, and chase you away. Let's not publicize our relationship. We are already good with you. Maybe you're right. The man said thoughtfully. We'll wait until Mary gives birth, and then we'll tell you, but nobody can stop us from getting married. Let's go and register the marriage tomorrow, shall we? We're not in too much of a hurry, are we? And what's a stamp in the passport going to do? We don't have time to wait. I want it to be legal, the way it's supposed to be. A month later, William, Clara, quietly married. They celebrated at a restaurant, but didn't tell the children. Everyone was expecting a new addition to the family. On the due date, Mary gave birth to a healthy baby boy. What's the matter, Daddy? A laughing nurse placed in the hands of a confused Adam a baby boy wrapped in a blue envelope and tied with a red ribbon. Understand the hair. Adam couldn't help himself and opened the corner of the blanket. He looked at his son's small, wrinkled face with awe. Thank you, my dear, he only managed to say, teary-eyed with excitement. Mary smiled. William handed his daughter a bouquet of flowers. Clara hugged her warmly. Congratulations, we have a new addition to our regiment. Meet your grandson, grandparents, Mary said affectionately. Where are you from? Started confused William looking at his daughter. Daddy, you don't have to be a professional detective to notice the way you look at each other. The daughter laughed. I don't understand only why you hide your attitude. We thought you'd be against it. What are you, Daddy? On the contrary, Mary assured him fervently. We are glad that Clara will now stay with us forever. I need her support very much. In the evening, when the hair was fed and put to bed, the adults sat around the table, eating dinner and talking. Life is an amazing thing, William said, looking around the table. I'd given up hope of ever having a family, even resigned myself to loneliness, and now I had people I cared about around me. And I'm already desperate to find shelter. Clara backed him up. I kept thinking, where are you, my happiness lost? At that time, there was a child crying. The adults laughed and rushed into the bedroom. Mary took her son and began to rock him with the words, Here it is, our happiness, one for all. Adam embraced his wife and kissed her tenderly. William pressed Clara to him. They stood and looked at the baby, and everyone's heart was full of love for each other and for the little creature in his mother's arms.